His name was chosen because of a bureaucratic rejection in a tiny island nation, 40 years before anyone outside Africa had ever heard of him. And on a Monday night in Atlanta, that name echoed across the entire planet. You are watching a 40-year-old goalkeeper dive across his goal line. Spain, European champions, one of the most decorated footballing nations on earth, are pouring forward. Ferran Torres, Mikel Oyarzabal, shot after shot, 7 saves, 7. And every single time, this man gets back up, points to his chest, and stares back down the pitch. His name is Josimar Dias, but the world calls him Vozinha. And the reason his name is Josimar at all is one of the strangest, most beautiful footnotes in football history. To understand it, you have to go back, way back, to Mexico, 1986. The FIFA World Cup that year produced one of the most iconic moments the sport has ever seen. Diego Maradona, Argentina, the hand of God, the goal of the century. The whole world was watching Argentina, and alongside Maradona was a forward named Jorge Valdano, tall, intelligent, a scorer of crucial goals. Thousands of miles away on a small archipelago off the coast of West Africa, a man named Pedro was watching every match. Cape Verde had no World Cup team, no major football infrastructure, but Pedro had football in his blood, and he was about to become a father. He had already made his decision. If the baby was a boy, he would name him after Jorge Valdano, a tribute to the footballer who had captivated him from the screen. He told people. He had made up his mind. Then the baby arrived. Pedro went to register the name with the local authorities, and the official behind the desk said no. Foreign names were not permitted in Cape Verde at the time. Valdano was rejected. Just like that, a bureaucratic rule, a country's naming law, and a father left scrambling at the registry office. But Pedro was not leaving without a football name. He thought fast. There was another player at that same World Cup who had been turning heads, a Brazilian fullback named Josimar, not a superstar, not Maradona or Platini or Zico, but a player whose goals, 2 spectacular long-range strikes against Northern Ireland and Poland, had made him one of the most talked-about players at the tournament. Pedro chose that name instead, and so the boy was registered, Josimar Dias. No one in Cape Verde could have known what that name would one day mean. Josimar grew up on the streets, raised largely by his grandparents while his parents worked. He played football with older boys, as kids always do. Rough games, elbows and knees. And whenever the young Josimar came off worst in a tackle, he would go home to find comfort with his grandmother. His friends noticed. And the way Cape Verdean kids do, they gave him a nickname that stuck. In Portuguese, a grandmother is an avó. A little grandmother, a term of affection, or in this case mockery, is a vozinha. They called him Vozinha because he kept running back to his grandma. He was not offended. He was a child. You wear nicknames whether you choose them or not, and this one stayed with him for his entire life. Vozinha started playing professional football at 25, an age when most professionals are already halfway through their careers. He later admitted he thought it might already be too late. He played in Angola, Moldova, Portugal, Cyprus. He represented Cape Verde at the Africa Cup of Nations in 2013, 2015, 2021, and 2023. A well-traveled journeyman goalkeeper, respected, consistent, but never famous beyond the shores of his island home. And then 2026 came. Cape Verde qualified for the FIFA World Cup for the first time in the nation's history. It was a moment of pure national pride for a country of just 525,000 people, smaller than most cities. And yet here they were, on the grandest stage in world football. Their first match was against Spain. Not a gentle debut, not a manageable opponent. Spain, European champions, a squad packed with players from Barcelona and Real Madrid, worth hundreds of millions on the transfer market. The most valuable bench player on Spain's squad was arguably worth more than the entire Cape Verde team combined. The bookmakers gave Cape Verde almost no chance of keeping it close. Most predictions said Spain would score 3 or 4. Some said more. Vozinha was 40 years old. He had never played in a World Cup. This was his first appearance on football's biggest stage in the biggest match Cape Verde had ever played. against one of the most technically gifted attacking sides in the world. You know what happened? Spain had 13 attempts in the first half alone, 4 on target. Ferran Torres tested him, Oyarzabal tested him. Every time Vozinha was there, diving, punching, positioning, reading the game with the experience of a man who had spent 15 years learning exactly how attackers think. 7 saves across the 90 minutes, a 0-0 draw, Cape Verde's first ever World Cup point. When the final whistle blew, Vozinha dropped to his knees. He pointed to the sky. He spoke in the post-match interview about his grandmother, the same grandmother who had inspired his nickname all those decades ago, who had died 2 years before this moment. He spoke about his grandfather, also gone. He said if they were watching from above, they would be proud of their grandson. His Instagram account had 56,000 followers before kickoff. By the time most of the world woke up the following morning, he had over 5 million. But here is the part of the story that very few people know. A few days before Cape Verde's debut, FIFA had tracked down the man whose World Cup had shaped this goalkeeper's entire identity. They told Jorge Valdano, now 70 years old, a former Argentina World Cup winner, the full story, that a Cape Verdean father had tried to name his son after Valdano, that a bureaucrat had blocked it, that the name Josimar was chosen instead from that same 1986 tournament. Valdano's response said everything. He said, 40 years after playing at the 1986 World Cup, he was now playing vicariously at World Cup 2026 through Vozinha. He said it came as a huge surprise. He laughed at the fact that C. Pedro had considered naming the boy after him when Maradona was right there. And then he sent his warmest regards to Vozinha, his father, to Josimar the Brazilian, and to everyone connected to that story. Think about what that means for a moment. A bureaucrat says no to a foreign name. A father picks a different player. A goalkeeper grows up with a nickname about his grandmother. He spends 15 years grinding through leagues most football fans have never heard of. He finally reaches the World Cup at 40. He makes 7 saves against Spain. And the man he was almost named after watches it all from home, 40 years later, saying he never expected to feel the World Cup like this again. Football does this. No other sport produces stories quite like this. You could write this as fiction, and publishers would reject it as too convenient, too neat, too sentimental. But this happened on a Monday night in Atlanta, in front of the world. Vozinha said after the match that it is all for Cape Verde, that it is all for his people, that he is grateful to fans across the world, including those in Brazil, who had shown support for this small island nation on their first World Cup appearance. He also said something that stopped a lot of people cold. He said his mother could not be there, not because she did not want to be, because the visa cost too much. The administrative process took too long. She missed her son's greatest moment because the paperwork did not work out in time. There is something in that detail that stays with you. Even on the night everything went right, something did not quite work out. And yet Vozinha stood there, man of the match, trophy in hand, composed, emotional, grateful. You will remember where you were the first time you saw his saves against Spain. That kind of performance does not fade. 7 saves, 40 years old, first World Cup, against Spain, and a name chosen because a Cape Verdean father walked into a registry office in 1986, tried to call his son after an Argentine World Cup winner, got told no, and looked at a television screen for another idea. His name is Josimar Dias. The world calls him Vozinha, and now finally, the whole world knows who he is.